Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach, and we have a jam-packed show, a lot of volleyball, a lot of football to talk about, a little bit of everything else as well to get into as we are, wrapping up regular seasons. We're getting deeper into some postseasons as well. We're closing up some postseason play for some certain teams, so might as well not waste any time. Just go ahead and jump right in. We will start with football. We had all three teams playing this past week, Cape, Jackson, and Saxony, and all three won. 3-0 week for our local squads, a good week overall. We'll start with Saxony. They had their senior night. Once again, really, really cool for them, getting to play their second ever game at their actual home stadium. They took on Redbud, Illinois. Redbud, I said last week that I expected this to be a win for Saxony, and it is. Saxony won the ball game 55-29. A little bit slower start than I anticipated. It was back and forth game. Saxony just kind of leaned on them and really just dominated, especially on the ground. Offensively, it was a lot of Alex Burek. Alex Burek ran for 250 yards, 6 touchdowns. He was just dominant on the ground. The O-line was just leaning on people, moving bodies. They did a great job. They have the ability to be really good up front, and they've continued to kind of show it off. They have good size for a Class 1 team. So then they're using it to their advantage here. Like I said, they just leaned on Redbud. Redbud put up some stats offensively. Their quarterback just does everything for them. He had a big game. I think that was one thing I said, hey, let's try to limit that guy. Doesn't matter. That guy did a lot, but it did not matter because a big part of the separator here, you give up 29 points. It's it's okay. It's not great. But the separator here is the turnover battle. Saxony forced 6 total turnovers, 4 fumbles, 2 interceptions, and I believe they scored off of almost every single one of those. So, 4 fumbles, 2 picks, very opportunistic defense, tackling people, wrapping people up, forcing turnovers. The DBs have been good all year. I like their defensive backs quite a bit. They have good athleticism out there. They have gotten lost a couple times in some of these games against teams that can kind of throw it a little bit. But overall, a really good night for them. Big win, and, now they head into postseason with some positive momentum. They're 4-4. They had lost 4 straight games at one point in time in the middle of the year, which was maybe not anticipated to happen exactly like that. I did anticipate them to find some struggles there in the middle of the season, playing, Charleston, Perryville, people like that. I thought would give them some difficulty. That was the case. But I think, as weird as it sounds, I think that Perryville game really gave the kids a lot of belief in themselves because, Perryville's a good Class 4 team. They took it to them. They played with them throughout most of the entire ball game. They got run all over, but they gave up, I think, 56 or something like that. But in the end, they competed. They were right there with them. They lost by a score or 2 in the end, but I think that game honestly gave them a lot of belief, hey, we can play with anybody. We can beat people that are, equal to or less than us. And that's what they've done here. At the end of the season, they played a couple teams from Illinois that aren't great, but are okay. And, took care of business the way they needed to. So get to 4-4 and heading into the postseason with some positive momentum. Postseason, anything can happen. They are the 2 seed. We will get more granular in that here in a little bit, but it's a really wide open district. Anything can happen. So I have optimism as I head in, but anybody can beat anybody. Everybody's trying to, extend their career by one more week. So you got to come ready. And I'm hoping and I'm anticipating that they are able to do that. Let's talk about Cape. Cape went to Kennett, a little bit of a drive down there. And they got away with a victory, 35-8. They finished their regular season at 6-3. The big statistical leaders for them in the game, Torrance Murray, he had 15 carries for 151 yards, so 10 yards to carry there for him. He had a score on the ground, and he had a score through the air on a 27-yard screen pass for a touchdown. And then, besides the win, the biggest story of the ball game is Keyshawn Boyd. Keyshawn Boyd's back. First game back since week 1. Week 1, he went down, the broken something, leg, foot, ankle, somewhere, lower body injury of some kind, as the hockey team might put it. He came back. He had 16 carries for 70 yards, 2 scores. a little bit more work than I thought he would get. But there's no time like the present, I guess. So throw him in there, and he came out healthy to my knowledge. I'm sure he was a little sore, not having that contact for so long, but came out, ran well. He punched 2 in there on the goal line. So he played well, and, they got away with the victory. It was a little bit of a slow start. Nobody scored in the first quarter. Cape did force a turnover on downs on Kennett's first drive. Kennett had a long drive to start the ball game, stalled out. Cape forced a turnover on downs. Cape punted. Kennett on their next drive, they punted. Both teams keeping the ball on the ground, keeping the clock moving. So, we're getting into the second quarter with no score. Cape had another drive that was stalling out, but they had a big penalty on their punt, and it helped move the chains. They got down, and Keyshawn Boyd did get the first score of the ball game, make it 7-0. Then immediately thereafter, Brayon Clemens, kind of showing off the playmaking ability on both sides of the ball, got a pick 6 to take Cape up by 2 scores. And then there was a little bit of an avalanche there in the middle part of that ball game where, Cape gets to score, pick 6. They force a 3 and out. And then immediately, Cape drives right down. Torrance Murray, a nice 30-yard touchdown run, give Cape a 3-score lead, which was all they needed. In this ball game and throughout, most of the season, Cape has been a team that isn't really blowing people out, even teams that they are definitively better than. They are, as I like to put it, a lot of times they kind of just sit on people. They're going to run the ball. They're going to keep the clock moving. They're just going to use their defense to smother teams that can't move the ball on them. You look at those first few weeks. They beat New Madrid 21-6. They beat St. Charles West 26-7. You're going to get a lot of that from Cape Central. They're not the team that's putting up 40, 50, 60 points on people. It's just not the way they play. Their offense is simply just not as explosive as that. Like, that's just not the way they play. They're going to keep it on the ground. Teams are ready for them to keep it on the ground, but a lot of these teams, like a New Madrid, like a Kennett, like a St. Charles West, a Sykeston, are simply physically incapable of stopping it. So that's kind of what Cape leaned on here again. They ran the ball really, really well. Like I said, they went up 21-0. The only mistake you can say for the defense all night was on the next drive after going up 21-0. Kennett's quarterback Jones just rolled to his right and simply threw it as far as he physically could. The DB for Cape Central just misjudged it. He came back for it a step too far, tried to go up and intercept it, simply just missed the ball, went over it right over his head. Had a receiver standing right behind him, caught it, turned around, 80-yard touchdown pass. And then outside that, the first half ended, no more scoring, 21-8. Cape did get on the board 2 more times. One was that screen pass touchdown to Torrance Murray on, I believe, their first drive. And then we had another kind of lull in the action. Aiden McGuire did throw an interception looking for Jathan Spain in the end zone. But then immediately shout out to Sean Sims on the D line, getting a big man interception. There was a screen pass they were trying to set up. He just stepped in front of the running back, took it, showed off a little bit of the basketball skill he's got in there. And then finished off the game, got down to the goal line. Keyshawn Boyd punched it in again for his second score, and also final score 35-8. He reached the 4,000 career rushing yards mark. I think he came in 1 yard shy of it. He also came in with 60 career touchdowns, so now he's at 62. He's somewhere over 4,000 yards. So congrats to that young guy. It's been disappointing. Obviously, I'm sure it's really disappointing for him. You go down week 1, you're expecting this awesome season where, you're going to be really leaned on to get a lot of carries and, injury bug football. Unfortunately, it's just the way it works sometimes in the game. And so guys have stepped up. They've lost some games that potentially could have gone differently if Keyshawn Boyd is healthy, right? They're held to 7 against St. Dominic. Once again, we can't discount the fact that St. Dominic is a 9-0 Class 6 team. But, that's a 2-possession or a 2-score loss to a team I think that they could beat if they faced again. You lose by 2 scores to Farmington in a game where you just couldn't hold on to the ball. Does that go different if you're playing Farmington at home and Keyshawn Boyd is healthy, 6 games into the year? It might. but guys stepped up. People made plays. The defense, another year where the defense is like, hey, we don't get the accolades necessarily. You don't get, simply you might not see somebody that's the primary defender win the Carr Trophy in Southeast Missouri, something like that, right? But the defense is what is allowing them to win these ball games kind of ugly, you could kind of classify, or with running the football, leaning on the run. You have to have a good defense. You got to play complementary football, as they say. And that's what they've done. They've given up 21 points a game, and that's even adding in the fact that they gave up 62 in one ball game to Jackson, right? So if you take away that 62, they're giving up, 14 points a game, give or take. They've been fantastic. They've given up one score 3 times this season. The defense has looked really good, and the offense does enough, right? They run the ball really well. McGuire hits some passes when he needs to. That is the only thing that's really the question mark now is, can they move the ball through the air when they need to? You're going to face teams that are as good as you and as big as you, and do you have enough to compensate for that fact? You're looking ahead. That team could be Farmington again in a few weeks, potentially. You're going to have to find new creative ways to beat these teams, beat these people that are on your skill level, your talent level, your size level. So that is the only question mark going forward, obviously. But another good game, another just solid victory. Like I said, they ran it all over them. They ran for over 200 and something yards, like 240, 250 yards. So good game on the ground for the Tigers, and they finished the year 6-3. So not a bad season. Losing your starting quarterback, both running. You lose Zaire Thomas, and you also lose Keyshawn Boyd for essentially the entire season. You lose a lot on defense. You lose almost every yard receiving. They finished 6-3 still. So congrats to them, and a nice regular season for the Tigers. Nice way to close out their season. And finally, the game that I was at, as always, if you want to hear more of me, I do play-by-play for all the Jackson games on 104.7 The Breach. I don't talk like that. Jackson won that game 62-21 at Festus. Both state-ranked teams. Festus was number 4 in Class 4. Jackson was number 4 in Class 6. So a nice win for the Indians. First, maybe the best test they've faced in a few weeks for certain. And they knocked them off. Weird game, kind of a wacky game. A bizarre first half. I do have my notes from the actual game itself. Looking at just pure numbers here, like I said, Jackson put up 62. So, the offense was absolutely unbelievable. 541 total yards, which comes out to 14 yards a play. Over 300 yards rushing. Jalen Hampton kind of leading the way there. He had 180 total yards. 4 total touchdowns. Drew Parsons, 230, 200 and, maybe 50, 60 total yards. 3 scores for him. So, the offense was unbelievable. The defense was really, really good. Pretty much stifled Festus for 75% of that ball game. And, the way it went, like I said, I used the term wacky earlier. It was a wacky first quarter, first half, or most of the first half. Because the game started, Jackson deferred to the second half. They kicked it away to Festus. And on the opening kickoff, Festus took it 93 yards to the house to open the scoring up 7-0. That is the second consecutive week that Jackson, on their first kickoff of the game, has allowed a touchdown. So you're going to see maybe a common theme of somewhere that the Indians might could clean things up a little bit. But the Indians got the ball right back on offense. They just marched down the field, 18-yard touchdown run on a jet sweep to the receiver, Evan Turley. Festus got it back. And their offense looked good early. They moved down the field. They got close to the red zone, and Brett Finley forced a fumble. Jackson recovered that, got it back. Just a couple of plays later, 58-yard touchdown pass to Jory Toma. Gives the Indians a 14-7 lead. Great ball by Drew Parsons on that one. He just kind of layered it perfectly over the second level of the defense. Jory Toma was on a crossing route over the middle of the field from left to right. He hit him on the numbers on the right side, and there was nobody within 15 yards of him whenever he caught it behind the defense, and he pretty much walked into the end zone. Festus, though, they did answer with their their only offensive touchdown drive of the ball game. They moved it down the field once again pretty easily at times, you could say. They mixed the run and the pass pretty well. They had two good running backs, Camden Yates, Leonte Williams, both really good kids. They both are physically very similar, do a lot of the same stuff. And then receiver, they have some pretty good athletes, some guys getting D2 looks, things like that. So, I mean, they had a good offense. They came in. Their quarterback had 28 touchdowns, only one pick. I mean, they were a talented offense, and they moved the ball. I think on 4th and goal, they had a 10-yard touchdown pass to tie it up 14 apiece. And here's more of the wacky. Festus had been kicking pretty much. They were squib kicking every kickoff, just straight line drives pretty much down the middle of the field, because Jackson is a team that has pretty talented returners. You got Blaine Reagan back there. You've had Evan Turley as a punt return for a touchdown. He had another punt return he took to like the 2-yard line. Memphis Maddox has 2 returned for touchdowns this year. So the Indians are kind of a scary special teams receiving unit, right? But Festus kicked the ball straight line, the kicker. I've seen this only happen now a couple times in my life where the ball hit one of the up men. I think it was Gage Parker. Nothing he could do about it necessarily. The ball is kicked. He turns and starts running to go block. And as he turns, the ball just hits him in the back, bounces right off his back, right back to one of the Festus players. They fall on it. But once again, the defense, though, this is where the defense started stepping up. They completely suffocated Festus from this point forward. They forced a turnover on downs. Festus hardly gained a yard. And then Jackson, on the first play, this is going to be a lot. You hear me say this. First play of the drive, 58-yard touchdown run by Jalen Hampton. If I remember right, he just took one, maybe an off right tackle, maybe in between the guard and tackle. He's had a humongous lane. The seas parted. He went nearly untouched for 58 yards to the house. Here's where the shenanigans popped up again. Jackson kicks it off. It was a short kickoff. It was caught at the 30-yard line, and Camden Yates, the running back I mentioned, caught it, took it to the house, 70 yards to tie the game at 21 apiece. At that point, I was just like, we're about to be in for like 60 to 55. I had no idea where the game was going. It was bizarre up to that point. But that happens. And then, like I said, the special teams got it figured out. And the defense was just, like I said, an anaconda just choking out the Festus offense the rest of the way. You're going to hear the word punt a lot as I go through the rest of the ball game. Jackson did get the ball back and marched down the field, ended with a 7-yard touchdown run by Hampton. That's 2 consecutive drives. He punctuated with a touchdown. Defense stands up again on the next drive, forced a punt from deep in Festus territory. They get it out to their own 49. Jackson, bang, 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 down to the goal line. 2-yard touchdown run by Jalen Hampton. It's 3 straight drives he's scored a touchdown on. Now the Indians are leading 35-21. You're like, okay, some breathing room. What do they do again? Another punt from Festus territory gets to around midfield. And on one play, Jackson, 48-yard screen pass to Jalen Hampton. 4 consecutive touchdowns by Hampton there in the middle part of the game. And the Indians have now doubled Festus, 42-21. And it was just full steam ahead from there. The half ends on the next Festus drive. Indians get it. Drew Parsons, 32 yards, touchdown run, and kept it himself. Another forced punt. They bring in Tyler Fisher, the backup quarterback, to run, just design quarterback run or a read option maybe. He takes it to the house on one play, 69 yards for the sophomore, just showing off the athleticism. Festus gets it back. Turnover on downs at their own 39. One play, one score, 39 yards over the top to Blaine Reagan. I assumed Coach Nesbitt was going to go back to Reagan. They tried to hit him on a bomb over the top. Drew, I don't remember if he got pressured, but he left it just like a little short, and it was underthrown. But Reagan came back to the ball and actually forced a pass interference on the defense. And then Coach Nesbitt did go back to him, try to get him a touchdown in that game, and they did. 39 yards. I mean, he just runs by people. Like, it's not really this. It's Jackson's like least, inside football thing they do is just, hey, Blaine, go run by the corner, go run past the safety, and we'll throw you the ball. And he's now, I think, has 5 touchdowns on 10 receptions. He's averaging 30-something yards per catch. It's ridiculous. And that was the end of the scoring, 62-21. So that is 9 drives, 9 touchdowns by the Indians in the ballgame. The second unit got in the end zone, but the play got called back due to a hold or block in the back or something behind it. So unfortunately, that drive did stall out, turnover on downs. Max DeBow and Gage Parker, a lot of Gage Parker on the drive. Gage Parker was the one who scored, but it got called back. So Indians were a hold away from going 10 for 10 scoring drives on offense. So the offense was unbelievable. I mean, what was that? 4 or 5 one-play drives during the ball game. I mean, the defense was great. They only gave up 1 score. So, you clean up the special teams issues, and that is just a ridiculously dominant running clock game. You add in those extra 14 points, it's like still a running clock dominant game, but it gives you a little bit more to work on. I'm sure it didn't sound like they were very happy about it, but I'm sure Coach Nesbitt's happy to have something to, critique his guys on a little bit there. But yeah, overall, just a suffocating performance by the Indians again. And like I said, they finished 9-0. That's a great accomplishment, going undefeated against a tough schedule. First 3 games they played this year were all teams that came into the year state ranked. You got Cardinal Ritters state ranked. Edwardsville is in the playoffs in Class 8A in Illinois. I haven't kept up with what Ballard's doing. Festus is a top 5 team in Class 4. Farmington, I think, is maybe still top 10, or they've been ranked throughout most of the year. Cape Central is a 6-win team that has a chance to win a district title. Them or Farmington are probably going to win that district title. Also, I can tell you Ballard finished 4-5. That's what I was Googling up here. Tough schedule, going undefeated. First time since 2021. That 2021 team did go to the state semifinals in Class 5. So we will see where this one takes me. I'm very optimistic and very, like I said, I do play-by-play on the radio. It's been a lot of fun watching this team play week in and week out. Offense, defense, they're very, very dominant, very, very fun. So we'll continue on, talk about some volleyball, some playoff volleyball. Have finals still coming in here this evening as I'm recording. Just peek behind the curtain here. I'm recording on Monday, October 27th. So some games I won't know. You'll know how some games end that I do not know yet whenever you watch this, but we'll do our best. So this past week, Saxony finished off the regular season. I think I might have mentioned that in the last show. They lost to Portageville 3-1 to close out their season. I believe down there at Portageville. Portageville, really, really good team. They got started, or the area got started in district play. Class 4 District 1 is at Cape Central this year. And Cape won their first-round matchup against Poplar Bluff. Cape's a 2 seed. Notre Dame came in as a 3 seed. This was seeded before they played each other, and Notre Dame beat Cape a week or 2 before this. So Cape won in a sweep. Notre Dame won in a sweep. Both pretty dominant, both very one-sided ball games. Jackson, they got to get started this past Thursday, the 23rd. They took on Fox in the 1 versus 9 matchup. Jackson swept Fox. Also just very, very one-sided. A lot of people pitched in. Avery Bruni had 7 kills. Melena Haynes had 6 kills. Lauren Dory gets my unofficial player of the game here. She had 10 assists, 4 kills, 6 blocks. She can do it all. She's tall, athletic, just super skilled all over the court. And this past weekend, we did it. We had a big matchup here of Cape teams. Cape and Notre Dame matched up in the semifinals over at Cape Central. And for the 3rd time this season, Notre Dame knocked off Cape. It was, it's an impressive performance. Obviously, going on the road in the playoffs is always tough. It's hard to beat somebody. I think it's 3 times in a season. So, shout out to Notre Dame. They played really, really well. The scores of those sets, Notre Dame obviously winning. They win 25-20, 25-18. So they take the first 2 sets. They were very... they felt like they were decided pretty quickly. Notre Dame started quick each set and kind of just kept Cape at arm's length those first 2 sets. Just going up 4 or 5 points early on in the set and then just kind of playing back and forth from there. Cape did fight back. They won the 3rd set. Cape won 25-23. Once again, it was another early deficit in the 3rd set. But Cape reeled them back in. Sydney Miller, Sophie Haggerty, others kind of got things going, playing well at the net. But in the end, Olivia Cox, predominantly in that fourth set, really flexed her muscles, and Notre Dame won in 4, 25-21. Big numbers by some Notre Dame players. Claudia Jones, one of the better setters we've got in the area, 42 assists, 21 digs. I mentioned Olivia Cox. She had 18 kills. Peyton Lynch had 14. So a strong showing by Notre Dame. They're going to be playing in the district title game. But overall, a good season by Cape. Once again, I mean, objectively speaking here, this is a program that has not had a ton of success in its history. And, as of late, they've been playing a lot better. They won last season 24 ball games, which I believe was a record of sorts for their program, at least to, Coach Macaulay Purdue's knowledge. I talked to her in the preseason. She was optimistic once again. There's a really, really good senior class for them that's going to head out the door. Obviously, big name there's Sydney Miller. She's going to SEMO. Just big athlete there in the middle of the net for Cape Central, but also losing Sophie Haggerty, Eliza Cribley, Aaliyah Jackson, Emma Smith. So a lot of seniors, really strong senior class that contributed a lot heading out the door. But, I'm still optimistic about the future. Obviously, like I said, Coach Summer, really, really good at what she does. I have a lot of faith in her. And then, like I said, the players coming back, I'm pretty optimistic about as well. They do have some talent still there in the program. Caden Kern looked really good as, I believe, only a freshman this year. I'm excited to see her play basketball as well. But yeah, they have a lot of good players, a lot of people coming back, and I'm excited to see where they can go from here. Like I said, back-to-back 20-win seasons is huge for them. Looking at the Misha website, they won 21 this year, 24 last year. Besides that, since 2009, they had 21 other time. They went 20, 12, and 2 and 19. So a program that has been kind of on the upswing, and Coach Summer has really, really elevated that program. I'm really excited for her and excited for the girls, but I'm also really excited for Notre Dame. We'll talk about them here in a second, going into this championship game with a chance to make a run here. We'll talk about it. We'll look ahead here shortly. We will move on to boys soccer. Boys soccer has still been playing regular season ball games. Everybody else is looking at postseason, not boys soccer. This past week, Jackson beat Poplar Bluff, shut them out 1-0. Notre Dame with a dominant shutout, 7-0. These are teams we're about to have a little clash here this week. Cape Central shut out DeSoto 8-0, and Saxony got a shutout over North County 2-0. And Wednesday, Notre Dame did drop one against a Gateway Legacy team, who's always a mystery to me. I never know what Gateway Legacy has in any sport. They just show up down here playing whatever it is, basketball, soccer, and shut out a pretty good Notre Dame team, so they must have some ballers this year. Cape then took it to Fredericktown 5-2, got the win there. Cape continuing a very busy week. They beat a good Perryville team 3-2. I believe they went up there to Perryville and beat them on, once again, I'm talking from my memory, and my memory has been known to fail me. I believe they played at Perryville. They did, and I think that was Perryville's senior night, and they got the win there. So big time showing there by the Tigers. Perryville 11-4, really, really good team, tough place to play, and so that's a nice win for the Tigers heading into the back end of the season. Also on the same day, Saxony did drop one big to Bayless, and then Friday had a pretty big SEMO conference ball game up at Farmington. Jackson got the win 2-1 over Farmington. So Jackson remains undefeated in the SEMO conference, but we will see if they get to remain undefeated to end the season. They have one more SEMO conference game. I wonder who it could be. A little foreshadowing. And then over in cross country, the one meet that I really saw going into the weekend was Jackson was up in Fenton, Missouri, Big River Invitational. They did well as a team. The boys got second. Aiden Ebalski came in first there in 15:51. Nate Meisner came in second in 16:23. Chase Wendell right behind him at 16:24. The girls team, they came in third as a group. Emma Ebalski ran well. She came in fifth overall, 18:57. Hallie King, the freshman, came in ninth place, second amongst all the Indians in 20:03. And then Hannah Funk, 17th overall in 20:56. We had one tennis update still out there. which was the Notre Dame duo or doubles team, the duo of Caroline Galati and Mary Tyler Cox. Try to put those two words together. Mary Tyler Cox. They advanced. They won their district. So they went into the state tournament. They played in the first round against a duo from Winnetonka. They won that one, the sectional, 2-0. But then they came back, I believe, the next day and did lose to a doubles group from Father Tolton, 2-0 in the state quarterfinals. Mueller and Worley, they moved on to the semis. But yeah, a good, really, really, really good year for Caroline and Mary. They, like I said, they made a deep run into state, so it's super exciting to see. Very, very cool to see. They went longer than anybody else here in Cape County, so kind of carrying the torch around here. So good job for them, and a great career for Mary Tyler Cox. She's a senior, I believe, so best of luck to her, and we'll see what Caroline is able to do next year. Really have really high expectations heading in to her final year. And then just to recap once again, I talked about it on the last show, but girls golf has come to a close. As I mentioned previously, Notre Dame fourth as a team. Harper McClard was there by herself from Cape. She came in 22nd overall. Grayson Maurer from Notre Dame came in 7th. Lucy Barnett in 27th, shot a 187. Grace Fitzgerald shot a 188. And then Emmy Gamble shot a 209. Then up in Class 4, Jackson has sent 3 individuals. Julia Schlitt came in 17th with a 159. Maddie Thrower in 27th with a 165. And Ava Moody shot a 179. So congrats to all those girls closing out their seasons, and several of them closing out their careers in the golf game. So I think I'm pretty much all caught up, everything I want to talk about from last week. So we have a little bit to talk about here as we head into the postseason, pretty much across the board. There are still some regular season events out there for, I believe, some swimming, some soccer, but we are right here into the postseason. For most people, we will jump in. I'm going to go in reverse order if I have it on the spreadsheet here for myself. Boys swimming, we do have some things going on early in the week. This will probably be happening as you watch here, but Notre Dame and Cape have a meet. It looks like they're competing against each other Tuesday, October 28th. And then later in the week, Thursday is up in St. Louis at the MICDS Invitational on Thursday. Cross country, we are also heading into the postseason. We've got district meets for Saxony, Cape, Notre Dame, and Jackson. Looks like they're all Saturday, November 1st. So we will take a peek down here at check out the sites that all these things will be taking place at. So Saxony is in Class 2, District 1. Cape and Notre Dame are actually in the same district, which is Class 4, District 1, and then Jackson is up in Class 5, District 1, all by themselves. We'll start with the Class 4, District 1 meet will be hosted by Cape Central. So that'll be Cape Central hosting Class 4, District 1. Nice for both those teams being here. Class 5, District 1 will also be Cape Central. And then, let's see, for all interested parties, Class 3, Class 2, Class 3 and Class 2 are at Arcadia Valley, and then Class 1 is at Oak Ridge. So, get out there, go watch some cross country. We are in the district, see if these kids can qualify for state. As I mentioned, Class 2 is where Saxony will be at Arcadia Valley. Cape, Notre Dame, and Jackson will all be running at Cape Central. So, best of luck to those guys and girls. I'm anticipating, and Aiden Morris to maybe be up there close to the leaders circle in Class 4, District 1. I'm expecting a couple, Martina Russell and Lily Coy, I'm expecting to make a run to state. A couple from Jackson, that need ball skis. I'm expecting to move on. Maybe Meisner, maybe Wendell on the boys' side. Maybe the freshman Hallie King could make the jump up to state in her first year. We shall see. Class 5, District 1. There's a lot of teams. This is combined boys and girls of who's all in there, so you'll know some of these are girls' schools and things like that. But Class 5, District 1, you've got Jorge Zoo, who's very, very strong on the girls' side. Eureka, Farmington, Fox, Jackson, Kirkwood, Ladue, Lafayette, Lindbergh, Marquette, Melville, Northwest, Oakville, Parkway South, Parkway West, Seckman, St. Joseph's, and Westminster. And then over in Class 4 is where Cape and Notre Dame will be. You have Afton, as I mentioned, Cape Central is the host, Clayton, Confluence Prep, DeSoto, Festus, who has at least one kid that's very, very talented, Hillsboro, John Burroughs, Lutheran South, Miller Career, North County, Perryville, Poplar Bluff, U City, Webster Groves, and Windsor. And I believe Class 2 is where Saxony will be located. Saxony is in Class 2. There's a million teams. Woodland, very, very good team. They might be somebody to watch over there in Class 2, District 1. They might be taking some hardware home. So very, very exciting time. We're getting into the postseason cross country. So that means state meet will be coming up then the week after that, I presume. In boys soccer is another one we have a little bit of regular season left to still talk about. So right now, let's see if I can get the actual result here. But at the moment, I don't know. I know Cape and Saxony are playing each other in local rivalry. Tuesday, which is another one you might know. We'll see what time this comes out. Tuesday, got Jackson at Notre Dame. Will determine who wins the SEMO conference or who all ties for the SEMO conference, right? So Jackson, if they win, they are the outright undefeated, I believe, in conference, SEMO conference champions. If Notre Dame wins, and we have this weird love triangle of who's in first place. So if Notre Dame wins, it is at Notre Dame. So I don't know how to call this. Notre Dame is good. They're playing at home. Jackson's kind of been, they've been winning, but they've been playing with fire at times. It really feels like where, they've been beating people, but they've been beating people by the skin of their teeth here as of late in a lot of these ball games. I said they beat Poplar Bluff 1-0. I believe they beat Cape Central 2-1. It's been a grind in all these ball games. At Farmington 2-1, at Saxony 2-1, Oakville 1-0. So it's been a lot of one-score games. They lost to Clayton 1-0. So it's been a lot of, soccer's people aren't blowing people out often, but it's been a lot of very competitive one-score ball games. So you say, is that a weakness? Are they struggling? And will that come up and bite them? Or is it a strength in the fact that, they're experienced in these one-score ball games. They have the composure necessary, yada, yada. So Jackson, 13-5, coming in, like I said, undefeated in the SEMO conference. Notre Dame, 11-7. So a couple more losses. Notre Dame, they lost to Farmington. So, like I said, we will have a three-way tie of sorts, a triangular battle there at the top of Notre Dame. If they win, Notre Dame then beat Jackson, and Jackson beat Farmington, and Farmington beat Notre Dame. So those three teams would be co-champions of the conference. So we'll see how it goes. Also, Cape Central will be taking on Gateway Legacy, the team that beat Notre Dame this past week. So will be a tough one probably for Cape Central, as Cape Central also lost to Notre Dame 2-0. And then Saxony closes out with Lutheran St. Charles. So a long way for Lutheran to come down here, but they're going to make the drive down to Saxony October 30th. Then we will take a look over at the district brackets. They're all out for boys soccer. So those, we will get more hosting over by Cape Central, which is always exciting. I'll start at the top, though. Jackson is in Class 4, District 1. They're by themselves amongst local teams. Jackson is the 2 seed. Oakville is the 1 seed. Jackson did beat Oakville. Whatever. So Jackson is the 2 seed. They'll be taking on Seckman. Always a tough ball game. Seckman, very, very competitive year after year. That ball game will be at Oakville because why not? Jackson and Seckman, they see each other quite often. It feels like year in and year out in the postseason, boys and girls, in just about every sport at this point. I'm assuming they're very close in enrollment numbers. So Jackson taking on Seckman at Oakville, November 4th at 7 p.m., first round of the district tournament there, Class 4, District 1. Class 3, District 1, a little bit more fun. We got two teams here we got all three other teams in the county there in Class 3, District 1. You have Notre Dame taking on Saxony in the 1 versus 8 matchup. So this is a strong district if Saxony is the 8th seed. If you're wondering, Saxony kind of has been bumped up due to the fact that they are co-oping a team with St. Vincent. So I think Saxony, if they were by themselves, would be in a lower classification, but we've got to work together here. That game will be at Notre Dame, and then Cape Central is the 2 seed. They will be taking on Sykeston, the 7 seed, and that will be at Cape Central. So pretty neat, the fact that both those teams are the 1 and the 2, and it's in both of them in Cape Girardeau. Both of them have good facilities, and so the top half of the bracket. So there's also West Plains and DeSoto. They'll be playing at Notre Dame. Notre Dame plays November 3rd at 5 p.m. So Notre Dame will play, and West Plains and DeSoto will play after them at Notre Dame. But then across town at 5 p.m. November 3rd, Cape will be hosting Sykeston, and then Poplar Bluff will be taking on Hillsboro after them. So some interesting matchups there. Cape's taking on Sykeston in a 2-7 game that Cape only won 3-2. So this could be a dicey first-round ball game for the Tigers. Sykeston always competitive, well-coached. Then the 3-6 game is Poplar Bluff and Hillsboro. It could be another matchup there where Cape just knocked off Poplar Bluff 3-1 a couple weeks ago. A rematch of coach from Cape facing off against his former team, Poplar Bluff. And then potentially we could be seeing a all Cape County championship game there in Class 3, District 1. I do anticipate Notre Dame getting to the championship, and I hope Cape does get to the championship, and we get to see them square off. And if they do square off, that would be November 10th. Well, I won't get ahead here. The semifinals are November 6th, and those should be, I believe both games will be at Cape Central, and then the championship November 10th at 6 p.m. at Cape Central. So there is all the soccer we need to talk about for now. That's pretty far in the future. So we will then get into volleyball. Volleyball is also already into their district action. We're seeing results are already in for the first couple of rounds. So we will get you guys caught up here as I pull up the brackets. So we will start at the top, like I did for soccer. Class 5, District 1. You got Jackson is the 1 seed. If you're wanting to know who to look for here, Jackson's the 1 seed. Cor Jesus is the 2 seed. Cor Jesus is good. That is the big opposition, and the tournament is being hosted by Cor Jesus, because as confusing and maybe annoying as the point system is in football for some people, or as annoying as it is to figure out, it's maybe just a me thing. I don't like to do math. It is the only objective system that we have in the state of Missouri. So Jackson wins 34 games in the regular season, and then they're going to potentially be playing a road game in the district title game at Cor Jesus. So, football, like I said, there's complaints you can definitely make about the system they use and everything like that, playoff-wise. But at least Jackson, as the 1 seed, as long as they are in the district tournament, will be hosting all their games because they earned it. They went 9-0. Jackson volleyball, they went 34-2. And also they beat Cor Jesus 3-1. I believe they swept Farmington. They swept Oakville. And they've killed everybody in their district. But Jackson will be making long road trips every time they play up to St. Louis. So you could say I'm bitter or biased. And yes, you're right. So Jackson, first round game, they took on the 9 seed Fox. They had to play in between 8 and 9, Melville and Fox. Fox won that one. Jackson then proceeded to sweep Fox. Not a mega surprise. As I mentioned earlier, pretty dominant showing in that ball game. And then Jackson advanced to the semifinals, which took place this evening. And Jackson did win that as well. They swept Seckman. Seckman beat the 4 seed Oakville, which is a little bit of a surprise for me. But they won that pretty lopsided ball game. It was a sweep, 3-0. It was 25-11, 25-15, 25-20. And so Jackson is now awaiting the winner of Lindbergh and Corhay Zoo, which was a little bit of an upset down there. Lindbergh was a 6 seed. They beat the 3 seed Farmington in 5 sets. So kind of fun. So that game's going on as I'm currently talking. You'll know the outcome. I'm expecting, let's just pretend. We're going to pretend Corhay Zoo won. I believe the game is at Corhay Zoo. And Corhay Zoo is better. So Jackson versus Corhay Zoo, district title game, October 28th. That is Tuesday. Hopefully the day you're watching this. We'll find out. Stay tuned. That game is at 5 p.m., which is also stupid. Jackson has to drive to a playoff volleyball game. People have to leave work early, drive 2 hours to have a 5 p.m. start time. It's a championship game. There's no games after it. Started at 6:30. Started at 7. Who cares? A lot of ignoramus things going on here with the districts and postseason play. All right. In Class 4, District 1, had a lot more local flavor to it. You've got Perryville, Cape Central, Poplar Bluff, Notre Dame, Sykeston. Cape Central hosting the district. I believe earlier I mentioned Cape Central won their first round game against Poplar Bluff. That was a sweep, 3-0. Notre Dame 3-0 over Sykeston. Then they met at Cape in the semifinals. Notre Dame 3-1 over Cape Central, like I mentioned. Claudia Jones, Olivia Cox. Cape Central, good season, 21 wins. But now Notre Dame advanced to the championship game also Tuesday, October 28th, hopefully today. That game is at 6 p.m., which makes more sense. They will be taking on West Plains. West Plains also just brutal draw being in this district. That is a long drive. All these other people are within like an hour of each other. West Plains, long drive. Boring drive through the woods. Like I said, 6 p.m. start, Notre Dame, West Plains. Interesting matchup. Notre Dame has won this game already. They already played earlier in the year. Notre Dame won 3-1. That was at Notre Dame. This one will be at Cape Central. The game should be available on Misha TV. Misha TV has you can go to the website, mishatv.com, or just Google Misha TV. And they have a website. You can find the game there. They have an app. You can watch on your phone. And the app is downloadable, to my knowledge, on most all smart TVs. And works on most all smart TVs, some smart TVs. You can find out. If you have a smart TV, download the app, buy the game. It's like $10 for a game, which also kind of stinks. But or go to it. It's literally in Cape Girardeau. So if you live in Cape Girardeau, go to the game. Tuesday, be there. I can't promise I'll be there. Yeah, big time ball game. West Plains, though, very good. I mean, they've won 26 games. They're 26, 6-3. One of those losses, though, like I said, Notre Dame. They've lost to 31-win Helias, 22-win Camdenton, 23-win Mount Vernon. So, they've played some tough teams, 28-win Marshfield. So they've played their fair share of difficult teams. They're definitely battle-tested. They caught a break. Speaking of, fun upsets, I think this happened. I learned about it live on the last podcast. DeSoto upset. They're the 8 seed. They beat Hillsborough, the 1 seed, in the first round in 5 sets. Just blew my mind when I saw that, but it's not what we're talking about. Notre Dame, this is a game they can win. Just straight up. I think that they should win. I think they're better, and I think they're going to win this ballgame. I'm excited. I'm going to be rooting for them. There you have potential here to make a little bit of a run into the state tournament. So we'll stick with Notre Dame's potential pathway here. So they play October 28th, Tuesday. Maybe today if you're watching this right now. Then, let's just say they hypothetically win. They beat West Plains. Where do they go from here? So they will be taking on the winner of District 2. District 2 is tough, okay? They could be seeing the reigning Class 4 state champion, St. Pius X, out of Festus. That ball game is maybe over by now. So St. Pius is playing Rockwood Summit. In their district championship game, the winner will be facing the winner of District 1, which hopefully is Notre Dame. Those teams have already played, obviously. If you are a Notre Dame fan, you know that went pretty lopsided toward St. Pius. They won 25-10, 25-16, 25-23. However, I believe this game will be at Notre Dame. Now, I'm really doing some thinking, and I'm assuming here. But I believe this will be at Notre Dame. I apologize if I'm wrong. But I believe this will be at Notre Dame, and it will be November 1st. So November 1st, potentially, Notre Dame versus St. Pius or Rockwood Summit. From there, we'll see. Also, if you're a local team and you make it to the Final Four this year, your entire life it's been like, oh, wow, this is so cool. The game's at SEMO. We don't have to go far. We get to play a home game. All of my friends, all my grandmas and grandpas and cousins and aunts and uncles get to go to the game. Not anymore. You have to drive to St. Joseph, Missouri. That is north of Kansas City. It's like 6 or 7 hours away. Now, those people also did have to drive like 6 or 7 hours to Cape Girardeau at one point in time, but this is a selfish podcast. I named it Exit 99 Sports because I don't care about what's happening in St. Joseph. So, there you go. If you do make a Final Four in volleyball, just be aware you're going to have to drive a really, really long way across the state and up and across. So, good luck. Have fun. Yeah, that's where we're at. Jackson, they are in a similar spot where Class 5 District 1 winner plays a winner District 2. That game will also be November 1st. I'm going to keep assuming here. I'm assuming that will be at Jackson. I will accept the tar and feathering if I'm wrong. I think that would be at Jackson. It'll be November 1st, and it will be against Lafayette. I don't know if that game has been final yet. No, so Lafayette's playing on Tuesday in the championship against Marquette. The game's at Marquette. Who might win? It's going to be Lafayette. Lafayette's an unstoppable monster. I mean, look, if there's a year Jackson's going to do it, I guess it's this year. Jackson has 36 wins now as a team. So 36 wins. So, I mean, if this is going to happen, it's going to happen, I guess, this year. Or whenever all these siblings that are like the best volleyball players to ever touch a volleyball court graduate from Lafayette, maybe. But I mean, Lafayette's just on an unbelievable run. They're the Monstars of high school volleyball in the state of Missouri. They have won. This is bad podcasting. They've won 9 state titles since 2011. So, yeah, they're pretty good. They've knocked Jackson out of the playoffs, I believe, the last 3 years in a row. It stinks, but, if you're going to be the best, you got to beat the best, I guess. That's what they say. So, yeah, that's what we're kind of looking at Jackson. I do think Jackson could win and should win up at Correzu. It will not be easy. Like I said, playing a road game. But, like I said, I'll be rooting for him. So, let's go get a win. Go stick it to the people that made you play a game at 5 p.m. on the road as a 1 seed. Idiotic. Finally, Class 3, District 1, Saxony is playing as I speak. I don't know how the game's going. We'll also be keeping an eye on that. Saxony is the 2 seed in their district. They had not played yet. There was a bye in the first round there. Fredericktown beat Doniphan, and so Fredericktown taking on Saxony, and we will be keeping an eye on if we can find what's going on there. It should be a tough ball game. Fredericktown is going to be competitive. They're a 500 team. I don't believe these teams have not faced off this year. But Fredericktown, pretty consistently, they're like Farmington light, I would say, usually across all sports. So it's going to be a tough ball game for Saxony. And if they do win, I'm interested to see what kind of happens here. This is a district I think we could see another upset of a 1 seed. Kennett is the 1 seed. They're playing at Dexter. And it's a game I think Dexter might win. I think Dexter already they've split maybe earlier in the year. So this is a winnable district for Saxony. So let's just look in the future. Theoretically, if Saxony does win this, it will be tough. getting past, the game is on October 28th as well. Their district championship it will be at Dexter. So if you're playing Dexter, it's going to make your life extra difficult. But Class 3 District 1 winner will be playing the Class 2 District winner on October 30th, which is Thursday. Once again, I think at the District 1 team. So if it is Saxony, they'll be playing at Saxony, I think. That in District 2, going to be a tough team to beat, regardless of who it is. I think it will be Potosi. Potosi's pretty darn good. They have 26 wins on the season. They are the 1 seed. So that's where I kind of think that district's going to go. And then finally, I think that's all my real volleyball thoughts and takes right now, and kind of the whole preview, what we got going on. Sorry, there's a lot of dates, a lot of maybe this, maybe that. I don't know, because we're in postseason. We don't know what's exactly going to happen. Looking at brackets, just kind of predicting. On the whole, I think Jackson will win Class 5, District 1. I do think Notre Dame will win Class 4, District 1. If you made me really pick far ahead, I don't think Jackson will beat Lafayette. I don't think Notre Dame will beat St. Pius. Saxony, I think Saxony will have a hard time getting out of their district. I think it'll be tougher if it's Dexter than if it's Kennett. If it's Kennett, I think Saxony wins. But also, they got to get by Fredericktown first. So, once again, we'll get there when we get there. And finally, we will talk about a little football. Football finished out their regular season, so this week we are in the playoffs now coming up. And there's only one game. So, a weird week. The way the brackets kind of work out, Jackson, Saxony, and Cape are technically all in odd number districts. I think every district is an odd number, maybe, or something stupid. Anyway, me and my coworkers were trying to figure out how to make that change earlier today. But so Cape is the only team in action here in the first week of the postseason. They're taking on Melville. That game is October 30th, so it is on a Thursday. So other local football fans, if you want to go watch Cape play, your team's usually playing, you can't go. Go check them out. Cape will be hosting Melville. It should be a game Cape wins. I mean, I'm just going to be objectively honest here. Melville averages 9 points a game. They give up 33 points a game. I really didn't take many notes on this game. Cape is going to win. Cape's better. They're going to sit on them, like I said they did earlier with Kennett. I mean, there's a good chance Cape doesn't win like 56-7. It's just not who the team. That's just not who they've been all season long. So I don't expect that to change this week. But I do think they're going to win. They're probably going to win pretty handily, pretty easily. Melville might get in the end zone, but I feel pretty confident Cape's going to win this. I mean, Melville's quarterback has 39% completion percentage. He has 7 touchdowns, 12 picks. I can see, Malachi Johnson, Breon Clemens, these guys taking advantage of that quarterback throwing the ball in the tough spots. Their leading rusher has 100 carries for 340 yards, 2 scores. Their best receiver is a guy named Jordan Hannon Lewis. Overall, though, I'm not concerned about. It's not a mystery to me what this outcome is going to be. Cape's going to win. They're going to win handily. If I had to make a prediction, but then we'll get kind of started from there, right? So, this is going to be going on the next podcast, but since the districts are all just now out, no games have been played, let's do a little bit of projecting, right? Let's make me put some takes out there that I'll be wrong about and look dumb. So Class 1, District 1 is where we'll start. That's Saxony. Saxony is the 2 seed. Charleston is the 1 seed. That was a very 1, 2, 3, 4 are all kind of jumbled up there, in my opinion. Charleston is 5-4. Saxony is 4-4. Hayti is 4-5. Portageville is 5-4. And then Malden is 0-9. So Saxony will be hosting Hayti, the 2-3 matchup. So that's very cool. Year 1 of varsity program, you're getting to host a postseason game. That is super cool. Very, very good opportunity. Saxony fans, go fill the place up, man. All right. Get out there. Go be loud. Go help your kids win this ball game. Hayti will be tough. Hayti is good. They've really kind of, I think, turned a little bit of a corner here. They had a lot of injuries, right? They started out pretty good. They beat Portageville 42-20 week 2. They were competitive against a tough Scott City team. It was 52-38. And then they really started getting hammered by injuries. I think their quarterback went out. They had a lot of kids go down. And they got hammered by Father Tolton. They got hammered by St. Vincent. Things started kind of getting back together. They got a little healthier. They had a big rivalry game at Crothersville, who's very, very good squad, and they only lost that 49-40. And this flipped, and they started winning some ball games here. They beat Marquette Catholic, that also beat Saxony. You know, things aren't apples to apples necessarily in high school football. Can't always just compare scores, but there is a common opponent there. Hayti did beat Marquette Catholic out of Alton, Illinois. And then they handled Malden 44-0. Malden's winless. I'm not necessarily surprised by that outcome. I think it's going to be a shootout. That's my first prediction. I mean, these teams can both score. Saxony's averaging 37 a game. Hayti's averaging 30 or 29. They're giving up 30. Saxony's giving up 31. Has the makings of a shootout. I'm under the assumption that's what it's going to be. Now, the hard part is deciding, you know, where I think this game's going to go or how I think this game's going to go. Early, I'm going to let myself get fired up as the week goes on, and I preview this next week, and my opinion might shift. At the moment, though, I'm kind of leaning toward Hayti. You know, Hayti is... I mean, I don't want to make it all just like very reductive here, but they have experience in these situations. You know, they've played in more postseason games than Saxony kids have, right? Or, you know, they got killed last year in their one playoff game, but they've been there. At the moment, that's kind of where I'm leaning. But having to make the long drive up to Jackson will be tough. I don't know. This is really a pick'em game for me in my brain if I'm having to try to decide who wins. I think I'm going to keep being optimistic. I'm going to keep saying I think Saxony is going to win. It's going to be high scoring though. It's going to be very high scoring, and it's just going to be if Saxony can keep the momentum they've had. I guess that's the way I'm going to put it right now. If Saxony can kind of keep this momentum, play enough defense. If they hold Hayti to 28-29 like they've held Massac County and Redbud to, I think Saxony can win the football game. I think Saxony can score 35 plus. If they can give up under 35, I think they win the ball game. If we start getting into the 40s, I think that's where they might have some issues. But I really didn't want to pick Saxony, but now I think I'm going to lean Saxony right now. So I think Saxony might win that football game. And then they can get a rematch, but this rematch is going to be at Charleston, I think, theoretically, if we get Charleston and Saxony playing each other. But Portageville could beat Charleston. Portageville's already beaten Charleston once this year. They beat them somewhat sound, 27-18. So I don't know who you see. I mean, it'd be cool if Portageville beats Charleston, because then Saxony would be hosting the championship game, and that would be sick. So something to look forward to. For no reason whatsoever, I'm just going to keep going up the classes here of teams in Southeast Missouri that aren't teams necessarily that I cover super closely, but just kind of where I'm leaning here. Class 2, District 1, you've got Crothersville, St. Pius, St. Vincent, Jefferson, New Madrid. I think Crothersville walks through that pretty easily. They're going to be hosting all the games. I could see them playing. I could see them playing St. Vincent probably in the championship game, but I think Crothersville is going to pretty much command their way through that Class 2 District 1. Class 3 District 1, you've got Dexter, Park Hills Central, Potosi, Scott City. I feel like we're once again going down a path for Dexter and Park Hills Central to see each other again. This one might be at Dexter. This one will be at Dexter if they see each other in a championship game, and I think Dexter gets it done. A little bit extra motivation from the earlier loss. Now the fun one, Class 3 District 2, you've got Valley, who's undefeated and state ranked. You've got Lift for Life, who's state ranked. You got St. Genevieve, who's state ranked. So that's Lift for Life versus St. Genevieve game in the semifinals is going to be a dogfight. I think Valley will be in the championship game. I think they're going to play Lift for Life, and I think Valley's going to win. I didn't like what I saw from Lift for Life in that Cape game. They seemed very penalty prone, mistake prone, and I think Valley will take advantage and win that one. Class 4 District 1 has a team that Jackson just played in Festus, and I think Festus is going to pretty much walk through that. They've got Perryville, DeSoto, Hillsboro, Sykes in there. It's going to be all Festus. Now, Class 5 District 1, once again, this is pretty cut and dry. Cape and Farmington are going to be in the title game. Now, the game's going to be at Farmington. If you ask me right now, early, I'm kind of leaning Farmington. I think Farmington has the goods here. They can just score. They can score. Cape Central hasn't really shown the ability to score with Farmington. So at the moment, I'm going to lean Farmington in Class 5 District 1. Class 6 District 1, that is where Jackson is the 1 seed. I guess I can give you a little bit more specifics here. Class 5 District 1. Cape is hosting Melville. If they win that, they're going to be hosting the winner of Webster Groves and Miller Career, probably Webster Groves. And then if they do face Farmington in the championship game, they will be on the road. In Class 6 District 1, Jackson gets a bye. They'll be facing the winner of Oakville and Lindbergh. Kind of a bit of a dichotomy there. Oakville, Seckman, and Northwest, the number 2, 3, and 4 teams in the district, all have 7 wins. So win-wise, a very, very competitive district. I do think Oakville will beat Lindbergh. Those teams have already played. Oakville blew them out. Coach Norman is a really, really good coach. But I think Oakville has too many dudes this year, but I could be wrong. Regardless, whoever wins that game will be playing at Jackson November 7th, and I do think Jackson will win. I don't think it will be easy because, this time of year, there's no week next week to make up for getting blown out this week, right? If you lose, your season's done, and a lot of these guys, their football playing career is done. Almost all these guys, their football playing career is done. So it's so much harder in the postseason. So whoever Jackson faces, it will be a tough ball game. I do think Jackson will get it done. And then Jackson will be playing in the championship November 14th, which they will be hosting as well, if they make it there. And then they will be playing either Seckman or Northwest. And once again, just kind of the winning lineage, I'm going to give it to Seckman. Seckman has already beaten Northwest this year. And I think it's going to happen again. That game, they're playing each other. That's going to be at Seckman High School. So it will be Jackson versus Seckman, I think, again in the district championship game. And I think for whatever this is, the 3rd straight year, 4th straight year, something like that, I think Jackson will get it done. I think Jackson will knock off Seckman. They have played, this would be years. If they play this year, that'd be 3 years in a row in the district title game, with Jackson being victorious the previous 2. Jackson has 4 straight postseason wins against Seckman coming into this year. So a pretty lopsided rivalry of sorts. But I think Jackson's going to win. And this is going to get interesting, but I'm not going to comment further from there. I think I'm going to wrap things up at this point. Not a lot more to ramble about. We're getting into the winter sports. Starting to do some winter sport coach interviews, things like that. I'm going to start getting ready for stuff. The college level basketball is getting ready to come around. SEMO men's basketball. I don't know how much I'm going to talk about SEMO men's basketball on the show. Probably a little bit. I'm pretty in on SEMO men's basketball. I have been progressively getting more and more the last few years. I didn't go to SEMO. So an acquired taste of rooting for SEMO. So I'm excited. Their first game is November 3rd at SLU. They've got, they got local kids. They got Jay Reynolds from Cape. They got PJ Farmer and Trey Sadler from Sykeston. PJ Farmer might be playing a serious role in this team. So then high school basketball practice, I mentioned I'm talking to coaches. Practice starts November 3rd. So next Monday, they're going to be starting official practices. So we're in there. We're very, very close to winter sports season. We do still have a lot of fall sports going on. I know this region, a little bit, especially further south, is big basketball area. But we're still here. Football season. You got Jackson looking to make a run. You've got Cape Central who's looking to make a run. You got Saxony looking to make a run. So, we've got a lot of fall sports left. I'm really excited, really optimistic about kind of the teams that we've got going on here, and excited to see what they might do. So, thank you guys as always. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Keep spreading the good news. Keep telling people to check us out over here. I'm going to be, like I said, highlighting a lot of people's athletes as we continue on the school year. Covering football for the first time has been fun on the show. We started during basketball season last year, so getting to do football has been a lot of fun. It's been fun to keep up with, to watch. It's been neat kind of seeing the birth of a program, if you will, over at Saxony. Their first varsity season, going to watch their first, home game, not the actual game at home, but watching their first game at Halk was very cool. So it's been an awesome year. I think we're gonna see some teams make some noise here in the next few weeks. So it's really exciting. It's been a fun time, and we're gonna keep it rolling. Like I said, we're gonna close out fall sports strong. As long as teams are playing, I'll be talking about it, and then we're gonna get into winter sports, which is a little bit more limited number of sports wise, but still gonna be just as busy. Everybody playing basketball, wrestling, things like that. So thank you guys, like I said, for watching, listening. Keep subscribing, keep liking things. Comment on the post. Leave me a DM if I get something wrong or if I say something that I don't know about, because I do that a lot. So thank you guys. Thank you for interacting online in real life. It's been a lot of fun. Like I always say, I'm doing this not to make you know who I am, just so you know more what these kids are doing, keep up with them. And, like I said, keep up with what's going on around here. There's a lot of kids working really, really hard, a lot of parents and teachers that are coaches like I said, as coaches working a complete, a second job, basically. It takes a lot of time, so we appreciate all those people, and they, provide us with a lot of fun and entertainment. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.